I think it's important to remember that much of the work that the BTA is doing is tied in specifically to the 2012 National Tourism Plan. So there is an update that you can find on our site that ties back into the plan and looks at the progress that's been made to date, and that has been significant. In particular, we look at increasing new demand and advancing the National Tourism Plan. This has been done through adventure seekers, millennials. These are areas of new demand that we're focusing on, and again, these details are available on our site. And we look at reducing seasonality, and one of the things that I think it would be of interest to the community is to go and take a look at the year-round promotion that we're doing of Bermuda as a destination. There's a wonderful calendar on site that shows all of the things that are available throughout the year in Bermuda. This also speaks to the Adventure Almanac and Uncovering the Arts. You'll find when it speaks to increasing visitor spending, we specifically identify areas in growing the tourism economy where the BTA has had a significant impact. This includes increasing air visitor spending, having the right products and experiences, the economics of food culture, which you've seen a lot about in the media lately. I really want to focus also on the National Service Standard Program and the Certified Tourism Ambassador Program, which has seen over 400 folks in the hospitality industry receive a designation as a Certified Tourism Ambassador, which really allows them to represent our destination to its fullest. There's information in there on how we're supporting business development, including education, and attracting investment, updating what's happening with our CIO, and of course, what we're doing in a regulatory environment. So as we go forward, we'll continue to update this document. You'll see how our goals and objectives tie right back into the plan, and we look forward to sharing that with the community.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. Good to be with you, and thanks for coming to our briefing and some conversation around our performance through the second quarter, the first 6 months of 2015. We're going to ask Aaron to help us here, and we'll go through a slide deck, and I'll let you guys reference the slide deck, and that's probably the best place to begin. And if we may, we'll just go to the first slide and eliminate all the formalities if we could. And a couple of things I want to mention here before we talk about how we manage our performance indicators. One, as everybody's probably aware, although it seems like a very long time, BTA has only been in existence for 16 months. And during that time, we have made, I think, a lot of progress. Carla mentioned it as it relates back to the National Tourism Plan, which was a cooperative venture of both political parties, and I think that's a testament to the interest that the country has in assuring that tourism is successful. I think we've built a top-notch organization in those 16 months, and certainly we believe that the performance that's being accomplished by the organization is boding well for Bermuda, and we look forward to a lot more progress as we go forward in the future. On this slide, if you start on the right-hand side, and this is what we're going to talk about today. First, the destination market performance, the performance that we've had to date in the first 6 months. Organizational performance measures are not something that we're going to talk about today, but as our Chief Product and Experience Officer, Pat Philip-Farron, will talk about her performance, and Victoria Isley will talk about her performance later in the week, and I know you guys are going to be getting some information from them, and that also deals with our management metrics also. But the key thing we're going to talk about here today is destination market performance. So the next slide, this is our Q2 vacation air arrivals, and these are visitor expenditures through June 30, and you can see that we've seen through Q2 7% increase in average per person spending, which is a very good number for us. We're happy about that. I think it really goes to two things. One, that we're aligning our product with the visitors that we think can best enjoy Bermuda, and also I think from a product and experience perspective, our team is really able to tell people what is on the ground and what is available to visitors in Bermuda, and that is being that is being shown in these numbers. The estimated economic impact, we see year-to-date at 74.4 million, or 5% increase in total economic impact. So we're pleased with those numbers. And overall, and on the next slide, we see that spending on accommodations has declined a little bit by $82 through Q2, but spending on restaurants and meals and other expenditures are up significantly, and that's what's driving these increases in overall expenditures. If you go to page 6, you can see particularly in the restaurant, meals and beverages, and gifts and souvenirs, expenditures are up, I wouldn't say dramatically, but with a nice increase. And this is, again, going to travelers that are capable and willing to spend more for the Bermuda product. It's a more affluent visitor than perhaps we were attracting before. And plus, just the higher awareness that visitor has of the Bermuda product. And that is helping drive these increases in overall spending. So we're pleased about that. As far as total vacation visitor arrivals through Q2, through the second quarter, the year-to-date, year-on-year change we were down 1% year-on-year. And then through both quarters, through all of 2015, we're down 2% on air vacation arrivals, and then overall we're down 1% when you include cruise and yacht visitors. So those numbers are flat. The yacht arrivals experienced the most pronounced decline, and it was 36.4%, and that really was because this was the off year for the Newport Bermuda race, and that definitely had an impact on what was going on there. On the next slide, you can see that this is our month-to-month visitor arrivals for April, May, and June. The most disappointing number on here is the air vacation arrivals was down 8% in April, and again, a lot of that was related back to overall airlift capacity and our ability to have lift into the island. As you know, the airlines have cut our capacity, and it's a big agenda item for us to improve lift next winter, and we'll talk more about that as time goes on, but there's a big effort underway to improve that lift for next winter. We had a great month in May, and then June was down 1%, and that's what drove this minus 1% number for the second quarter. Overall, in Q2, if you go to slide 9, vacation rentals continue to be an important part of what we're doing. You'll see more emphasis by BTA on vacation rentals in the future. Bermuda and other destinations are seeing increases in demand for this product, so we're going to continue to focus on that. But again, the vast majority of our visitors are staying in hotels or B&Bs or guest houses. On to the next slide. This is Q2 air visitor arrivals by type, and you can see that. And maybe what I'll do is, if I can, ask Aaron to chat about this for just a minute, because this is some new data here for us. We had changed our arrival forms, if you may be aware of that, that include a broader selection of options so that visitors can be give us a little more granular view about what they're doing while they spend their time here in Bermuda. And we've even included the America's Cup on there now and other types of vacation options, and this will help us in the future, but some of the information has never been gathered before, and Aaron, maybe you could just take a minute and chat about that. Yeah, and on the next slide is related to hotel statistics. In the second quarter, we saw increases in 2 of the 3 months as far as occupancy is concerned, and then we saw some pretty solid growth in average daily rate. You can see that average daily rate was up 4.3% through the quarter. I know the hotels were pleased about that. That's a good number for us. We've got to continue to work on improving occupancy, but overall, I would suggest to you that these numbers are fairly positive for the hotels. And then the last slide goes to a couple interesting issues around where our visitors are coming from. We saw a slight increase from the UK which is important to us. But the Canadian market, we've seen a pretty significant decrease, almost 18%. And really that's related back to the decline in the Canadian dollar versus the US and Bermudian dollars. And this is not helping us one bit, and we'd be way in positive territory but for that number. And then the second part of that is really our air capacity and our ability to keep planes flying, particularly in the wintertime. That affected us. You saw that number in April that affected us, and that continues to be a problem. In Q2, we saw almost a 5% decrease in airlift, 7,214 seats. Fewer seats flew to Bermuda, and that's year-to-date, that's a decrease of 8.8%, or 23,000 seats. Fewer seats that flew to Bermuda this year versus 2014.
Sorry, I beg your pardon, is that so far this year, the first?
That's through the first 6 months.
23,000?
Yeah, through the first 6 months. And so this is in some respects a good report because revenues are going up, and we're doing a better job as far as the kind of visitor we're attracting and also the kind of spend that's taking place on island. But it's still, we're not satisfied with this, and we're going to continue to stay the course and do what we're doing to improve the economy. And we think we're on the right track. We're making progress. We are digging ourselves out of a pretty big hole, but we believe we're on the right track, and we're going to continue to stay the course.